What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, inflation, the next stimulus package. There's a lot going on here in our country. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. Several things going on here right now. The Fed is going to be raising interest rates here yet again very soon here. It's probably going to be a triple interest rate hike here yet again of 0.75. It could be as 0.75%. 75 basis points here. They raised interest rates of 75 basis points last month in June. And they're going to do it here again in July, here very soon, to raise interest rates 1.5%, basically here in 60 days. Now, they could go as high as a full 100 basis points or a full 1% here in July. So that's the highest they could go. That could happen. That could happen. The Wall Street bets are basically the most likely scenario is 75 basis points here. So this will ultimately lead to higher interest rates yet again on things like credit card interest, home mortgage rates, car loans. Anybody that's going to get a new home loan, anybody that's going out to take out a new loan at this point that's not locked into a loan. Okay, so if you have a home mortgage at this point, and you're locked in, you're good to go. If you have something like a variable mortgage rate, like a 3-1 arm, a 5-1 arm, or something that is not locked in and adjusts periodically, whenever that adjusts, interest rates are going up here at this point. So if you have money in savings accounts, savings accounts here just 6 months ago or so were paying almost zero or at zero. Those are starting to pay some money now. So savings accounts are going to start going up because interest rates are going up. Okay. CDs are starting to pay more money because interest rates are going up. So it's a double-edged thing here. So interest rates are going up. So if you have money in the bank, interest is starting to pay more money. Okay. Um, so that's kind of a good thing if you have money in the bank. So instead of like getting 0% money on your interest, you're actually going to start making some money there. But it still won't be very much. It won't be very much, but it will start to pay some money there. Okay. Um, but credit card interests start going to go up here as well. And we are starting to see home mortgage rates get up near 7%. 7%. Those have gone up here dramatically. I'll kind of see if I can show you this here. Yeah, so here's kind of a Google search here, as you can see here. 30-year fixed rates currently around 6.6%. And, 15-year fixed rates much lower at 5.2. But remember, we're going to see another interest rate hike here happen here shortly. So, yeah, these are continuing to trend upwards here, as you can see here, just in the last 30 days or so. And these are going to continue to go higher. These are going to continue to go higher here. But here is a 30-year graph of interest rates. So just to give you an idea, they're still on a historic 30-year graph, still kind of low. Still kind of low. So here's, you can see they've gone up pretty dramatically, for lack of a better word here, in the last 6 months or so, as you can see here. But if we look at historically, if we're taking this in context over the last 30 years, I mean, look at where they were. And if we go back to the last time inflation was this high, 1981, that's the last time inflation was as high as it was now. Look at what interest rates were back then. 18%. 18%. Let me know if you remember when interest rates were that high back in 1981. Yeah, you can see here interest rates were as high as 18% back then. Yeah, so imagine paying 18% on your home mortgage. That would have been an absolute nightmare compared to 6% on a mortgage. That's 3 times as high. It's absolutely a nightmare. Absolutely a nightmare. Just to give you an idea here, I'll show you how much interest rates matter here. All right, so just as an example here, the average price of a home now is over $300,000 here in the US, but this will give you an example here. On a 3% interest rate, which we had just a few months ago, just 6 months ago or so or more, you could get a 30-year mortgage at 3%. On a $300,000 home, which some parts of the country you can't even buy a shoebox for $300,000. Some places you can, some places you can't, right? Try to get a home in California for that price, you can't, right? Or New York City, right? It's not even an option, right? But regardless, we'll just take this as a round number. The average monthly cost would be $1,265 at 3%. But now at 6%, we go from $1,265 to $1,800. That's like $550 more a month for the exact same house. $550 more every single month for the exact same house, just going to interest, just going to the bank, just for interest. It's completely lost money right out the door. Now, in 1981, the interest rate was at 18%, right? Now, imagine if we were still paying that here like you did in 1981 if you had a mortgage, right? At 18%, that exact same house would be $4,500. And remember, all that extra money is just going to interest. It just goes right out the window. It just goes right to the bank at interest. So the difference between a 3% mortgage and 18% mortgage, you go from $1,200 to $4,500. That's all interest, guys. That all just goes right out the window. Yeah, so that's the difference in what interest and interest rate does. And the exact same works the exact same rate for credit cards. So if you're paying 18% interest rate, the vast majority of that goes to interest, not to principal. It's the exact same principle it's the exact same philosophy that works on credit cards. That's why credit cards are an absolute nightmare on your finances. That's why you want to pay off your credit cards as soon as possible and never use them. Not carry a credit card balance is the first thing like a debt counselor would tell you, or somebody who's trying to help you with your finances. Yeah, and you can see here here on Healthline, 90%, nearly 90% of Americans report inflation-related anxiety. Yeah, this is kind of because inflation's so bad right now, 9.1%, and at a 40-year high, back to 1981. Thank God interest rates aren't as bad as 1981, right? At 18%, because that would be a double whammy. But interest rates are going to be going up here. But thank God they're not at 18%. Can you imagine? But even so, interest rates are going up here as well. Gas prices are coming down. They're down like 35 days in a row here. So thankfully that's here. But we're seeing so many different things up here. In fact, you can see here, gas prices hit a 2-month low here in the US. Gas prices currently at $4.49. $4.49 and dropping pretty quickly. A 3-cent drop in a day actually was the fastest drop ever in the US. I believe that ties the fastest drop ever for a single day. So when you see a drop like that, that's actually a pretty dramatic drop here. So 449 we're down to here, 551 for diesel. So we are dropping pretty dramatically. Food price is still pretty high here. I've seen this headline here from Bloomberg. Some prices of bread for like the premium bread, like some of those crazy breads that are really expensive. Bread at $10 a loaf arrives as inflation saps demand for basics. So not like the cheap bread or the basic breads. But let me know what you've seen the most expensive bread for at your grocery store. I thought this headline was crazy to think that a price or a loaf of bread would be at $10 a loaf. Have you seen any breads at $10 a loaf? That's crazy to think that people would spend $10 for a loaf of bread. That's insane, for lack of a better word. I just can't even think of a better word there. And meanwhile, people are bashing Senator Joe Manchin for saying we should wait to see what the inflation report is, because we want to see what the next inflation report's going to be to see if it's going to be bad or not before we should decide what to do. Yeah, you could see here Senator Martin Heinrich, a Democrat from New Mexico, on Tuesday told reporters that it was not fair for Senator Joe Manchin, from Democrat from West Virginia, to string people along for a year by leading his Democratic colleagues to believe that he would support the climate legislation and the Build Back Better package to pull his backing from a bill last week. Joe Manchin did, well, maybe even string us along even more here, saying that he didn't say that. He just said he wanted to revisit it here in a week or two, potentially maybe stringing us along even more. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here on this. Now, you also could maybe say the same about the Republicans, because um, are the Republicans going to vote here on anything to pass any inflation relief for the American people? Because are the Republicans and Democrats going to come together to pass any type of inflation relief? Or are the Republicans going to vote no on everything because it's before an election and they want to try to make the Democrats look bad, because the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the presidency? So, that's the problem with our political system right now, is that we have a two-party system, and right now, the Republican stance on a lot of stuff is blame the Democrats, blame Biden for inflation. Of course, we know that inflation is at 30-year highs or more pretty much everywhere around the world. Gas is high everywhere around the world. Gas in Europe is actually way higher than here in the US. Gas is higher in Canada as well. It's around $6 a gallon. Gas in Europe is around $7, $8 a gallon in U.S. dollars and in U.S. gallons if you equate it. The inflation in the UK was the month before at 9.1%, when the U.S. inflation was at 8.6%. So inflation and gas prices are high everywhere. But the question is what can we do to help it? What can we do to pass things, to help out Americans? We have all these states. We have 20 states that have passed stimulus checks or tax relief, inflation relief, tax rebate checks, property tax relief, where states are using the money to give back to their people to say, hey, use this money to help pay your bills, for the people that need it, to help, deal with this, ravaging inflation. But you can't vote no on everything. You can't vote no on everything and say, well, inflation's really bad, but it's not my problem. We're just going to vote no on everything, whether it's the Democrats or Republicans or whoever. That's not the solution to everything. Yeah, so that's kind of the problem here with our political system. And we got elections coming up here, and I urge you to reach out to your representatives, your senators, and if they're not doing the job, vote them out. Whether it's Democrats, Republicans, or whoever, um, they're your elected officials. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here, because yeah, inflation's high. Gas is coming down. We'll have to see what happens here on this. And The Democrats have been trying to pass this package, and basically one guy is holding it up here, and one guy. It's actually interesting when we go back here to when the progressives were saying, "Don't pass this package or don't pass the bipartisan infrastructure package because if you pass it, then Joe Manchin won't pass the other package." Remember that? It's interesting because they may have been right. Well, up until this point, they were right because what has Joe Manchin done? He's stalled out the package. Yeah, and remember that Joe Manchin's wife, who heads that other foundation or company, her company got $1 billion from that bipartisan infrastructure package. Yeah, yeah. So Joe Manchin kind of, he wanted to pass that bipartisan infrastructure package real bad. And, a lot of the other Democrats are saying, don't pass that bipartisan infrastructure package until we pass the other package, the other stimulus package, the Build Back Better package, whatever you want to call it, which had a lot of things in there. It had benefits for seniors, for Medicare, vision and dental. It had potential more money for people. It really depends on what was going to be in there. I have to really go through and see what they would have agreed on because it's changed so many different times, right? At this point, and what Joe Manchin would have agreed to. Um, and remember, the last stimulus package they agreed to had the $1,400 checks, rent assistance, mortgage assistance, utility assistance, child tax credits. They could have had anything in there, all these different things. And now it's kind of all been stalled from one vote, one man, Joe Manchin. Yeah. Meanwhile, states are stepping up to the plate. States are kind of doing what they're supposed to. A lot of states are, at least. And I get comments in the comment section saying our state's not, and it's almost like, well, vote them out. If your state's not doing what they're supposed to, maybe your governor needs to be voted out. Maybe your governor or your state legislators need to be voted out. And again, I'm not speaking about any specific state here because you let me know your thoughts in the comments. But there's like 20 different states or so that are passing stimulus checks, tax relief checks, property tax rebates. Um, and again, I'm not picking or choosing. Your state's doing what they think is right, whatever it is, what it is. I can't. I have no control over it. But some states are giving money back to the people. Some states are saying, you know what, inflation is bad. Let's help them out. Some states are saying, gas is bad. Let's pause our gas taxes. Some states are saying, you know what, food prices are bad. Let's pause the grocery taxes. Let's increase SNAP benefits. And there's like 36 states or something that are doing that. I'll link you to two different videos here you can watch here that are really popular videos here with details on both of those here. And I'll continue to update you here as more and more states continue to do stuff here as we get closer to the election. And I'll update you here on everything going on here on a daily basis. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. It's completely free to do so. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here on a daily basis. After you subscribe, click the bell icon down below so you get notifications as soon as we go live. You can click here to see the 20 or more than 20 states that have already approved stimulus checks or tax rebate checks or even more here coming out soon. And you can click here to see the SNAP and food assistance and pandemic EBT assistance coming out here as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.